Hi, how's it going? This is a resident of Collinwood for YouTube, back with another Dark Shadows video for you guys and gals. I'm here to give my reaction review to episode 66. This is season 2, episode 31, Tubi. This is written by Francis Swan. This episode, that is, and this episode here is directed by Leila Swift. So I've said this is my favorite episode in the 60 count, and with reason, because this to me should be this here is where Burt Devlin feels. If Burt Devlin came into this episode with feeling, hey, how many more knives can the Collins stick into me? He more feels by the end of this episode that Vicky stuck a knife in him, but I love me some Mitch Ryan. I love me some Burt Devlin, but he's wrong. So this episode starts in the drawing room. Roger doesn't really want to talk to Burke, though Burke wants to talk to him. He makes it very clear here. Liz puts her foot down. She says, I'm tired of the insinuations. I want this matter settled, like here and now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not an hour from now, not 10 minutes from now. I want it settled right down. I love me some Joan Bennett for it. Roger says, fine, you know what? I'll talk to him, but I'll talk to him alone. And Liz is just like, you know what? No, Roger, you've had plenty enough time to talk to him alone. Just say whatever you're going to say. I'll either talk to Burke alone or not at all. So Roger, you have Roger and Liz playing chicken in this episode, and Liz blinks. It's more, you know what, you want to talk. I say Liz blinks, but in reality, what this is at the time, Liz is just so annoyed with Roger and Burke both, and the whole matter entirely. She's like, you know what, you two boys want to have it out, go ahead. That's the feeling I get from, that's the body language feel I get from Joan Bennett in this episode. Right before right as she leaves. As Vicky goes and leaves, Burke says, hey, maybe we can get that dinner someday uninterrupted. Uninterrupted. Again, I talked about attraction between the two characters. So she leaves. Roger closes the drawing room door. I love the shot Leila Swift and Dan Curtis Productions does here of Roger closing the drawing room door and Liz watching the door go shut. Roger says, okay, what do you want, Burke? What do you want, Devlin? I want your one thing, your hide. And that's the opening, and it's a hell of an opening. We don't get much in the way of sets here. We do, it's all done in Collinwood. We get the drawing room, the foyer, and the upstairs. We have Vicky's room. That's the 3 sets we get today, and I don't mind it at all, because that's just where the story is focused. There are 4 characters in this episode. You have Liz, Liz Stoddard, played by Joan Bennett. You have Roger Collins, played by Lewis Edmonds. You have Burt Devlin, played by Mitch Ryan, and you have Victoria Winters, played by Alexandra Molken. Alexandra Axel, sorry. So, and in this episode, there's just one big, one big accusation after the other from Burt to Roger. You were probably driving that car, and you don't know that for certain. I really think Roger accuses Burke of going insane. But we do get the question from Burke to Roger, did you kill Bill Malloy? I mean, that's what he came up here for, and that's exactly what he asked to. And Roger says, you can't be serious. I am serious, I didn't kill Bill Malloy, Roger says that. Hey, as Roger goes to leave, Burke slams the door Roger opens the one drawing room door. It would be the one to the right. And Burke slams it on him, slams it, and he goes, "Why don't you just repeat that little timeline that you told the sheriff?" I've told the sheriff. Well, I want to hear it. So Burke tells Roger this. Roger does tell him what happened. Hey, I left at 10 to 11. Um, it's Burke says it's too bad you don't have anybody to confirm this. Oh, but I do. Liz, I'm sure your sister would say anything. Not at all. Your friend, Miss Winters. So, so Vicky's about to get thrown into the fray here. And really, it's no fault of her own. She had been wanting to. The same night this meeting is held, and Roger is at Collinwood about 10:30, and Vicky does talk to him very briefly. She says, I just want your thoughts on, having David meet Sam, meet Sam Evans, the artist, because of David Collins, Roger's son, had drawn a picture of Collinwood. Now Vicky can't show that picture. David tore it up. Um, but she did want David to meet a real artist and Sam, a real artist. So, um, and that's what their discussion was about that night. Well, it was more Vicky's discussion and Roger completely blowing her off. Oh, fucking jerk. Dude, how rough is that? Who would you be friends with at Collinwood? Nobody. Nobody, yeah. Nobody's right. I mean, they're pretty ruthless. So, except for Vicky. But she lies a lot. So, I'll forgive her. So, up at in outside the foyer, Liz wants to go get some tea. She does. They do cut back in the drawing room, and you hear some more conversation. Um, when we go up to Vicky's room, Vicky is writing a letter, and she would be to be clear, she went up by herself. Um, Liz did not initially go up with her. Liz comes into her room and sits down. She goes, "You're always writing a letter to somebody back home." And Vicky says, "I'm actually writing a letter to myself." And she explains how lonely she was growing up, and she explains, how finding out about herself is important. Obviously, Liz is like, "Isn't it enough that you're here?" I'm thinking, really? Here? Here? It's enough that she's in Collinwood? And she's like, and all of Vicky's response, no, no, it's not. The truth of who I am is important, and that's Vicky's thing. Um, this episode is really well shot by Leela. I love the camera work we do get. We don't get a bunch. It's not like we get anything too crazy, but the shot sequences are really well done with the acting sequences. The actors do a really good job here. Facial expression, the way they are standing and talking to each other, especially Roger and Burke. By the way, Burke actually, I like how Burke. My favorite scene in this, and I know that it's not too I know it's not climactic, but I like actually how Burke sits down and pours himself some tea because the tea set is left in the drawing room. Liz has to go into the kitchen to get more tea. Um, she can't. She's not going to go into the drawing room. There's a discussion going on in there. I love Vicky. I love Vicky's joke because Liz says, "I hope everything's all right," in the, with those two. And this is in Vicky's room. Vicky says, "I'm, I'm sure we would have heard some screaming by." It's like, yes, yes, Vicky cracked the joke, and it was funny. Um, it's nice to see the humor side of Victoria Winters in this thing. It isn't going to be so funny later for her. um, so the big climactic sequence in this, as Burke is yelling at Roger to go get Vicky, to go get her and this. He doesn't really want to. He's like, they're probably asleep. I love Burke's line here where he says, they're probably waiting outside that door, waiting for some kind of violence in here to listen to some kind of violence. I'm just waiting for somebody at the door with their ear popped. Hold on, I don't hear anything. No, there's no fist being thrown. I wish that would happen in DS right here. This episode needed that. Um, we did get some grabbing, but we don't get no fisticuffs. No fisticuffs, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing to see here. Well, sort of. We do get something happening very interesting. So Roger finally says, all right, because Burke's like, you do want to be rid of me tonight, don't you? Um, so Roger's like, all right, I'll go up and get her, fine. He does. And he says, Miss Winters, would you come down and kindly explain that you saw me leave the house at 10:11? She goes, but I didn't. I know we talked at 10:30. And he goes, well, we must have talked for some length. You got to believe it took me time to get my papers. Look, Roger didn't have any papers. He's just trying to, like, convince her. Does Victoria Winters lie here in this episode? No, she does not. So they go down, and Burke's critical. He's like, you conveniently remember the time. She's like, I don't conveniently remember anything. She goes, I came down and I talked to Mr. Collins about 10:30. And that is true. She did come down the stairs and talk to him. She talked to him. Uh, make that real clear. He didn't talk to her too much. He's like, I can't be here. I gotta go. Everybody, Burke underestimates how much pressure Bill Malloy put on these people to go to this meeting. That's what I'll say. Shame on you, Burke. Shame on you. No. Um, so she says, I don't know what time I that I didn't actually see him leave the house. I don't know what time he did leave. I didn't. She does say she didn't see him leave the house. She didn't personally see him leave the house. She doesn't lie here. She doesn't say, "Oh, he left at 10 to 11." She says, "I believe the time. I believe Mr. Collins when he says he left at 10 to 11. I have no reason to not believe him. That's not lying. That's her giving her opinion. Um, and I think look, this is a great sell job by Mitch Ryan being mad at her as the character of Burke Devlin. When I make a mistake about a thing or a person, I don't I don't make that mistake again. And Vicky says, I told you the truth. And he says, I don't doubt you. I don't doubt that. Um, it's like, then why are you mad here? Like, she didn't lie for him. Um, and this is the episode that kind of puts a wedge that, in a lot of ways, puts a wedge between Burke and Vicky. It doesn't last. It doesn't last that long. Um, got a woman looking that beautiful. Is it gonna last that long? Okay. I'll just say this. Okay. Fictional, from a fictional sense, because fictional characters are just like real people, right? They're just like real. Where do you want the night to end up? It's what I'm gonna say. I'm not saying ever ended up there for those two, but just saying. And there's a natural track. All kidding aside, there's a natural attraction between the two characters, as I pointed out in the previous episode. You can cut the tension with a spoon in this episode. That's what this episode delivers most: the tension of of Vicky's reveal. Because though the reveal isn't the hugest thing, it's the tension around it. Um, and I love Elizabeth's reaction. He goes, "You don't think this ends it, do you?" When Burke says that, she goes, "With you, of course it doesn't. It's just like when the jury delivered their verdict. You're not happy. You aren't happy now, just like you weren't happy then. You know." Um, that's where she says, Burke Devlin can never be wrong. He says, no, I can be wrong. And that's where he says about the thing or person. And he's looking at Vicky. And, again, she's not lying for Roger. She's not lying to Burke. She's being very honest. It's really, really a fun episode. Guys, go check it out. It's a really great. Again, the actors just do a bang up job here, and the actresses do a great job. Um, Francis Swan really writes this episode good too. The one liners you get in this episode are worth it alone. They're probably outside listening for some kind of violence. Sure, I mean they were there for a bit and then they went upstairs. All right, guys. Hope you have a good day. Take care.